Hi, it's Ruby. Thanks for clicking on my video. In today's video, I'm going to be going over the Disney Cruise Line Navigator app. This video is going to focus on how to utilize the Navigator app before you get on the cruise ship. And I'm going to do a second video after my next cruise, which is coming up in a month, on how to use the app once you're actually on the boat. So if you're interested, please continue watching. The first thing you're going to need to do is download the Navigator app. And I'm going to talk about some of the pluses of having the app, which I feel are more beneficial when you're actually on the boat. But I digress. What you're gonna wanna do is to go to your app store and download the app. After that, you need to make sure that you have a Disneyland or Disney some kind of login. You cannot create an account on the app. You have to already have an account. If you've gone onto Disneyland and booked a reservation for a restaurant, or if you've downloaded the Disney World app before in the past and you had a login for that, you can use the same information. It's just gonna be your email address and your password, or whatever your username is. Once you've downloaded the app and you've logged onto your account, make sure you have your reservation number handy. You're gonna use your reservation number to put it into the section that says add reservation. It's pretty user friendly. And once you download it, there's a couple different swipes you're gonna have to do before you get to that part of the app. But once you're there, you just add your reservation number, and like magic, all of your details will come into play and you'll be able to see a lot of your booking information. I say a lot because there are some things that the app can't do that you can do if you're on a computer or like an iPad, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. Okay. So you've added your reservation number. You can click on see details and see the room location, the type of room you have, and also a little picture. But my favorite thing is it says find on your boat. There's a little icon there and you can click on that and see exactly where your room is, whether it's by an elevator, forward or aft. And this is really helpful, especially if you want to see what's above and below your room. And I think that's really important. For example, last time I booked my cruise, I went onto the app and I got to see where my room was. I saw that I was actually right above the movie theater, which might not be an issue for some people if they're very heavy sleepers, but for me, I was super worried about it, especially because I knew that the movie theater had movies going all the way past midnight, and I didn't want to run the risk of being woken up or my kids being woken up, so I moved my room. Had I not seen that on the app, I probably wouldn't have noticed it. It's also really nice if you want to find out how far away you are from maybe the kids club or from the buffet area or a certain part of the boat that you're really interested in. It's just a really good thing to use when you're trying to see, hey, where's my room and how does it correlate to everything else on the boat? After your reservation information, there will be a section called Next Steps. The easiest thing to do is just click on the View All, and it's going to show you a well-rounded view of all of the things that you've already selected. For example, if you have ground transportation or you want to know when your dining time is, whether it be main or late dining, you can see all of this in that. Right underneath the Next Step section is going to be the online check-in details. I recommend that you do your online check-in on a computer, not on your phone and not on an iPad. The reason for this is, in my opinion, I believe that it's kind of a wild dash to get your cruise information done. One thing to note about online check-in is you have access to it based off of your ranking with the cruise line. If you're a first-time cruiser, you can only complete your online check-in 75 days in advance. For silver, it's 90 days in advance. For gold, it's 105, and for concierge, it's 120 days. Basically, if you're frequently going on these cruise ships, you have access to booking all of your activities and getting an earlier time to get onto the boat. All of that is available to you earlier if you either spend a lot of money and book concierge or you frequently cruise with Disney Cruise Line. I do like that because I'm all about loyalty, especially when it comes to resorts and cruises and airlines. I like when they have additional perks or amenities available to people or families that come often to those experiences and partake in that. Side note, why doesn't Disneyland and Disney World have that? Why don't they have like a punch card? That'd be great. Think about it, Disney. After you find out what your booking window is and when it opens up, I actually recommend finding out the exact time that you can go and access it. My understanding is it's 7 a.m. on Eastern Standard Time. So you would be able to access it depending on where you are in the United States, 4 a.m. to 7. If you're not in the United States, you'll have to do the math on that. When I am doing my check-in, I actually get up super early and will go whatever that window is. I go as soon as I can, so 4 a.m. for me, I'll get up and I'll do my check-in on a computer. The reason for that is because you get assigned a time that you can come to the pier, and it's really important for me to be able to be in the earliest group. I feel like if I am flying in either red-eye or the night before, and that paired with getting up at 4 a.m. to do my online check-in and fill out everything that I need to fill out, I usually get a pretty good time to come on the boat. Usually it's like 11 o'clock or 10:30. I've gotten 10:30 before. That's great for me and my family, so we can get on the boat, we can eat, and get to start our vacation as soon as possible. I talked a little bit about the initial parts of the Navigator app that are really beneficial. The next section is going to be the My Plans section. Within the My Plans, there's 4 main areas that you can book ahead of time after final payment. The first one is spa and fitness, the second is onboard activities, third is adult dining, and fourth is nursery. I'm gonna give you a very big pointer that I tell everybody that is going to go on a cruise, and that is to go on Google and type in the cruise line you're going on and see if the daily newsletters, in this case they're called Navigators, see if they're available on a site. I did find for Disney, if you go onto DisneyCruiseLineBlog.com, they have a list of all the past navigators from every cruise that you can imagine. They also have all the menus, and sometimes I will, spoiler alert, go and look at all those details. But another reason I like to do it is because I'm a mom. And when I mentioned that the nursery has to be booked ahead of time, that means you kind of have to know what you're doing. If you're gonna book a specialty dining, or if you want to go to Pirates Night without your baby, anything that you wanna do and you need the nursery booked ahead of time, it's hard to do that if you don't know what the activities are. So what I recommend doing is before your window actually opens up to do all of your online booking, go and look at the Disney Cruise Line blog, check out what your cruise ship itinerary was from last year, and see the activities laid out. It might not be exactly the same, but at least you can get an idea of when there could be a possibility of an activity that you want to drop your kid off at the nursery. I think it's super funny that I'm talking about the nursery and then my kids are like playing trains and being super loud. I love them. Another thing I would mention is go on to the Disney Cruise Line site. So look at all the different things that are available to book. Keep in mind your duration for your cruise. For our 13-night cruise, there was a lot of beverage tastings for adults available. There was also a plethora of VIP character dinings and frozen meet and greets and princess gatherings. There were several of them. However, on a 4-day or a 3-day or even a 5-day cruise, you get less activities because there's less time. You will not get the VIP character breakfast option on a cruise that is shorter than 7 days. You will, however, have the princess gathering and things like that. So this section of the video, I'm gonna talk about what's the most important things for you to book on the app as soon as you're able to. And I'm gonna break it down in 2 categories. First is kids, and next is adults. For kids, I recommend that as soon as you finish your online booking, you can either do it on your computer itself or you can do it on your phone. But for kids, go in and book that Frozen gathering, whenever that is. The Princess gathering, your Frozen gathering and your Princess gathering are free. Not the Royal Tea Time, that is a charge, but the Princess gathering and the Frozen gathering are free. Book those as soon as you can. And the VIP breakfast if you are on a 7-day cruise or longer. If you're not, that won't be available to you, but if you can, do that. Next thing that I recommend is the nursery, but I mentioned if you don't actually know what you're doing yet, don't book the nursery. But if you've done your research and there's a specific thing you want to do and you'd like to drop your baby off, 3 and under I believe it is for the nursery, if you want to drop them off there, the time slots. Keep in mind though, based on your duration for the cruise, you only have a certain amount of hours that your child can be at the nursery. The Oceaneers Club is a totally different situation. You can just go drop them off, no reservation required, and as far as I know, no maximum amount of time that they can be there. Whereas the nursery, there is a maximum amount of time that they can be there for the duration of your cruise. So when you go into the nursery option and you select the time, you'll see like 13 hours remaining or 18 hours remaining. And as you book a time slot, number will go down. Also, one thing to note is you can only book your reservation in 30-minute increments and you get charged per 30-minute increment. Next, for adults, what are the biggest things that you should book? 1 and 2 are pretty much interchangeable, and I would say if you've decided that you want to do an adult dining experience, either Paula or Remy, book that as soon as you can. I will say that you don't know what your dining is going to be. So if you're booking a dinner one, you're kind of rolling the dice on whether you're going to be booking over maybe a day that you would be at your favorite restaurant. So for example, I don't want to miss Tiana's dinner. That's something that I'm going to look into as soon as I get my information on the boat. So on your little card, it tells you where you're dining on what day. I'm going to make sure that Palo is not booked on the same day as that experience. Once you book your Palo brunch or dinner reservation or Remy, quickly go back and book your nursery time slot and give yourself a little bit of time before and after so you don't have to rush back to get your child and you can really enjoy your experience at the adult dining restaurants. And keep in mind, those are an additional charge. The next thing I would recommend doing is going and booking your beverage tasting as soon as you can. We were able to book on the cruise last time because when we opened our app to go in there, all of the reservations were already gone. So we were able to do 2 classes, the mixology class and then also the mojito class. Both were really, really fun and very, very informative. If you're not a drinker, it's still kind of nice to go if you don't care about the price because they teach you about the history behind all the things that they're making. So maybe where was tequila invented, or why does a martini glass look the way that it looks. All of those different things they'll teach you in the beverage seminars. So I recommend doing that as soon as possible, but keep in mind if it's not available, you can usually get the class on the boat. The other things that I didn't really talk about that are important to some people are the spa and fitness and also the port adventures. I'm not sold on always booking port adventures through the cruise line, so I don't always put that at the top of my list. I usually book that way later and do a lot of research between local companies that do excursions and compare it to the cost of the cruise. A lot of times the cruise price point is higher. However, I did notice Disney's is sometimes very reasonable and sometimes offers different kinds of things that you can't actually book through another company that's maybe local to the place you're going. But I didn't put that high on my list because I've found that I can usually book that closer to my actual cruise and not having it be sold out. That being said, if you wait till you're actually on the boat and you don't try to go book your port excursions the day of getting on the boat, it will be full. That did happen to us on our last cruise. Also the spa, depending on the cruise line, I know we're talking Disney, but depending on the cruise line, they'll have specials every day that you're on the cruise. And unless it's something that you know you want to do and you're worried that it's going to sell out, I forgot what it's called, but there's certain passes you can get to get access to the amenities that are an additional cost in the spa. And so I would recommend maybe getting that the first day of the cruise if you go on and see that it's worth it. However, I don't put that at the top of my list. So that's all I had today for the Navigator app part 1 review and also just update. And I want to point out that I think that they had some type of system update on that app between the beginning of this year and now, because before I couldn't see as many things that I can see now. For example, I couldn't see my reservation details or any of that until later. So I don't know if I somehow was messing up the app or if I wasn't using it properly, but I couldn't actually see anything or enjoy the amenities of the app until I was actually on the boat. It's kind of a new thing for me to be able to go in and see everything that's available via the app. If there's any other questions you have or some recommendations you want to make to me, feel free to leave that in the comments. And also, if you liked the video and you like the content that I present, please subscribe and consider following me on Instagram. My name is rubies_best_life, and I'll also put it below. Thanks everybody, see you real soon, bye.